Good morning to all. Up till now in C language, we have seen various concepts, we have studied various things about what is C language all about and what are the operators in C language, and we have also seen the conditional statement, the if and the switch case. Now let us assume that we have to make a program where we have to add numbers, or let us say that we have to add 10 with different numbers. For everything we have to add 10. For example, we have to add 10 with A, or then we have to add 11 with A, then we have to add 12 with A. We have to perform this type of function. So to perform this type of function, what can we do is we can write multiple statements: a plus 10, then a plus 11, then a plus 12. So if three numbers have to be added, 10, 11, 12, then we can do in three steps. If four, then four. But suppose if we have to do this time think 50 times. So how to solve this case? If you have to do the thing repeatedly, mean the same thing has to be done again and again. So if there is a code, you are thinking that the same thing is repeated with a small change, or even if it is not there without any change, but the same thing is being repeated. So what to do? If the same thing is being repeated again and again, the same thing is being repeated, so we say that it is a case of loop. It is a case of loop. It is a case of loop, and loop becomes iteration. So these type of problems where the things are repeated again and again, the same thing, or with certain change, with a sequential change, those problems are solved with the help of loops. So in C language, there are three different types of loop. One is for loop, second is while loop, and third is do while loop. So let us see these different loops in C language. Then we will see certain programs also of these loops. So what is the syntax? First of all, let's study while loop. So what is the syntax of while loop? The while loop starts with the keyword while. After this keyword while, there is a bracket, and within the bracket we write down the condition. The loop works like this, that then we write within this loop, below the loop, we write the statement which is affected by that loop. We write the statement which is controlled by the loop. The statement just below the while loop is the statement which is controlled by the while loop. So it works like this, that if the condition is true, this statement will be executed, and if the condition is false, it will come below this statement, and all the statements which are after this first statement will be executed. So depending upon the condition, this flow goes, and this statement which is written just below the while loop keeps on executing, it keeps on executing unless the statement is true, the condition is true. While the condition is true, the statement keeps on executing, and as soon as the condition becomes false, it comes over here, it comes over here. So let us see a small example first, then we will see certain thing more. Let's say that we have a variable int I is equals to 0, and we write a while loop, that while I is less than 10, we can put curly braces over here. The curly braces is required when we have to write more than one statement which is controlled by the loop. So in a while loop, generally there will be more than one statement, because one statement will be for doing something, and for to change this condition we require certain next statement. So the next statement is the next value of I, which we put I plus plus, and outside while I just put printf x to smell, to tell you that how does the loop looks like. So how does it start? The program starts in such a way. Initially, the value of I is equals to 0. So it checks that I is less than 10. It is true. It comes over here and it prints the value 0. Then with this statement I plus plus, it makes I as 1. Then it again goes back to check the condition. So this is how the loop is working. It again checks back the value of I. 1 is less than 10. This time it becomes 1. It is true. It keep on printing this thing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It keeps on printing. Then 9 plus 1, 10. 10 is less than 10. It becomes false. When it becomes false, it print x. So the output is 0 to 9 and then x. So this is how the loop works, that it keep on printing unless and until it is false. So to notice carefully, in any loop, whether it is while loop, whether it is for loop, there are three things. One thing is initialization. We are initializing the counter. So this initialization is important. We are initializing a counter. Then second thing is condition. What is the condition which has to be checked? And the third thing is the next value or the new value. So these three things makes a loop. This condition keep on executing unless and until it is false. As soon as the condition is false, the statement comes outside the loop. And to make this condition false, this next value is required. Now, for example, let's say that I do not write this statement. Now let's make this program little clear. Now suppose this is a new program where, suppose now this is a new program where we have not written the next value. What will happen? I is equals to 0, I is less than 10. It will print 0. Again, it will go to the loop without any next value. It will print 0, 0, 0, 0. And this thing 0 will be printed till infinity and the system will hang and we have to control break and come out of the program. X will never be printed. It will continue. So this is an infinite loop. So this is why the we require a next value. So this is how this while loop works with. Similarly, we can have another loop that is known as a for loop. So we are just understanding different types of loop in this program. Then we will see certain programs also. So in a for loop, there are three things which are separated by semicolons, which are separated by, just a second, when we write this, we are just separated by semicolon. The first field is initialization. The first field is initialization as it was there in while loop. The second field is your condition. And the third field is your next value. जैसे कि while loop में तीन चीजें थी, इसी तरह for loop में भी तीन चीजें, which is divided in the same bracket. And within this for loop, again, this is the body of the loop, which is controlled by this condition. As long as the condition is true, this will, as long as the condition is true, this will keep on rotating. As long as the condition is true, this will keep on rotating and we will get the, we'll be executing in the loop itself. So this is how the for loop structure is there. So let's see the same example with which we have seen with while loop with for loop. Over here we do the initialization. Int I is written somewhere above in the program. So int I is written at the place of declaration in the program. Then this is the condition. and this is the next value. We do not put a semicolon over here, remember this thing, and it is up to us that whether we want to put this statement within curly bracket or we can put it without curly bracket also, because this is a single statement. This is a single statement. We'll be talking more about it later on. Let's see how does it work. So the loop starts from here. It checks I is equals to 0. It gives initialize I is equals to 0. Then it check whether I is less than 10 or not. Yes, it is less than 10. It comes over here. It prints the value of I, which is 0. After printing, it goes to this part. It gets the next value, which is I plus plus, so 0 becomes 1. Then it comes over here. It does not go to the initialization back. It comes to the condition. So it checks 1 is less than 10 again over here. So this is how you can see a loop is being made, and it keep on making the loop. Less than 10, then it prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if I put a printf x over here, then even without bracket, this x will be executed only after executing the loop. Only a single statement which is written just below for is controlled by this for loop. Now, what are different modifications in for loop which are very important? The modifications in for loop are very important. See to it very carefully that, for example, if this is a loop, if we have to control more than one statement, we write those statements within the curly bracket. In this case, all these statements which are written within the curly bracket will be executed in the loop as long as the condition remains true. As long as the condition remains true, this will be executed. As long as the condition remains true, this will keep on executing. This will keep on executing. It depends upon the condition. As long as the condition remains true, this keep on executing. When the condition becomes false, it comes downwards. When it becomes false, it comes over here. So all the statements are executing. Now, other changes are in the for loop. Other modifications are which are very important is we can leave this initial part and just write less than and next value and the program. Let's put up bracket this time. Not necessary bracket for a single statement. I've just put it, and then we put an I over here, bracket closed, and initial value. In this case, you can see that we have not initialized the value. So we can initialize the value anywhere before the loop. So I is equals to 0. Instead of writing over here, we can write it above also. And the loop will works in the same way. It will check the value of I less than 10, comes over here, print I, and then goes back I plus plus, checks and print, checks and print, checks and print, and we get the output 0 to 9. So this is a variation in the loop. We can have another variation in the loop. You can see another variation where we can even miss the next value and we can put the next value within the loop. If we will not put, then it will become an infinite loop. So putting a next value is necessary, but we can put it inside the loop anywhere. Now, how does this loop works? It initializes the value I is equals to 0. It checks the value I less than 10. It prints the value over here 0. Then instead of going above for the next value, it changes the next value over here. Then again it goes to this part. It says that nothing is written over here. Then it comes back to this. So even if nothing is written over here, it will not give an error because नेक्स्ट वैल्यू से यहां से मिल गई, तो लॉजिकल एरर भी नहीं होगा और ये लूप पूरा चलेगा. दिस इज हाउ द while loop and the for loop works with. So these are the two basic loops of which are used in C language. Now in the next video we will be seeing certain program for working of this.